So, hello everyone. I welcome you all to the N8N Masterclass and the AI Agent Masterclass. So, most of you that are here, you must know that AI is the future of technology. Soon in the future, we'll have AI agents that would be able to do everything. Now, this would naturally cause a lot of job displacement, which should be capitalized on by us. So, if you know how to build AI agents, in that case, you won't suffer, but you can earn a lot of money by building AI agents that companies would buy. Because someone needs to make these AI agents for the company. The company cannot make AI agents on its own. So in this masterclass, I'll go through N8N, which is a software that is used to build AI agents. We'll build a few AI agents ourselves. I'll explain to you different kinds of nodes that are present in N8N. And by the end of this masterclass, you'll know how to build really powerful AI agents that allow you to earn a lot of money and sell that for a lot of money. Also, if you're here, please be assured that this would be one of the best investments you'll ever make. So, without any further ado, let's get started. So most of you that are here, you must come from either a no code background, you don't know about AI, or you must have used make.com in the past. So if you have ever used make.com, it simply means that you know how to build automations. So make.com is an application that allows you to connect multiple applications. And if you've used this, then N8N would be a breeze for you guys. So I'll quickly go to my N8N. So as you could see, this is N8N. And currently I'm running this on a self-hosted N8N server. Now you guys don't have to worry about self-hosting for now. I'll quickly show you how to make an N8N account. So you go on to Google and search for n8n.com. So once you're here, click on get started. You'll be asked to register. So simply type in your full name. I'll type Shreyas, and below, so Shreyas R. Company email, so you don't necessarily need to put a company email. You can work well with Gmail. So I'll type my Gmail, which is personalized CAAI@gmail.com. I'll confirm the email address by copying and pasting it below. I don't think this works. In that case, I'll type it again. So once this is done, we'll type in a password. Now you can choose any password of your liking. Let's just give it an account name. Let's just say AI Agents Masterclass. Scroll down. Now you can turn this on, so you'll get constant updates by N8N, but I like not to be troubled by these constant notifications, so I'll keep it off. I click on start my 14-day free trial, and it should navigate me shortly to the N8N flow. First of all, I'll need to answer a few questions. You can just choose anything here. It doesn't matter actually. I'll submit this. I'll skip for now. So you can also invite team members to your workspace. I'll skip for now. And your workspace is starting up. So this was the N8N setup. I hope this was easy and you guys were able to follow through easily enough. So you can watch this video until this loading happens. So as it's loading, let me just walk you through the next concept, which is, so what are AI agents? So software entities that perceive environments, make decisions, and act autonomously. Or simply put, AI agents are AI models with tools at their disposal. So this allows the AI model to use tools and perform action. So previously it used to be that AI can only output data, but it didn't have the power to use tools and change things in real life. or change things in reality. But now you can provide, let's just say, a calendar booking agent with your Google Calendar login, and it can set Google Calendar invites or Google Calendar events all autonomously. Like, it's really powerful and it's really beneficial. So we have types of agents. We got model based agents, goal based agents, utility based agents, and learning agents. So model based agents are agents which are modeled on a certain principle. Goal based agents are agents that are made to complete or achieve a certain goal. Utility based agents are agents that are used for, let's just say, a utility purpose. And learning based agents allow or helps another person in his learning journey. So then we have evolution. So from rule-based automation to intelligent systems with contextual understanding. So we started off with rule-based agents like if, but, or, loop. This was the basis of AI. Then eventually we got AI models, transformers, GPTs, and that eventually led us to where we are now, where AI can do a lot of stuff autonomously without our help. All we need to do is give it a prompt. Now, use cases are endless. If you know how to build an AI agent, you literally know how to replace another person's job. That's most easily put. That's like the most easily put definition of AI. So use cases could be customer service, business development, lead generation, outreach, you name it. And that's the beauty of knowing how to make AI agents. Moving on to our next lecture, or moving on to our next slide. So understanding N8N, the no code automation platform. So I don't know if many of you guys have done coding, but if you have, you'll know that there's a lot of things that could go wrong. If you miss a semicolon, the code could break. If you miss a space, the code can break. So there are so many possibilities of error that, and not everyone can learn how to code, and not everyone can learn how to build solutions using code. But with N8N, it gets really, really simple. So I'll quickly open my N8N.cloud. As you can see, the workspace is ready. I'll click on start automating. So once I've clicked here, so we get a custom domain called AI Agents Masterclass.app.n8n.cloud. So this one is a cloud hosted N8N. And as you could see, it's on a free trial right now. So if I click on upgrade now, we have multiple plans, monthly and annually. Now I personally like to work with the free plan, or I just self-host N8N on my server or on my computer. So there are two methods of hosting N8N. One of them is called self-host and one of them is called cloud-based hosting or server host. Local hosting refers to hosting N8N on your local computer, like for example your laptop or your PC, whereas server hosting is N8N hosted on a cloud server. Like for example, my N8N server right here, it is hosted on Cloudbean. So it is one of the providers. We have Hostinger and a whole lot of providers that allow you to host N8N virtually on a cloud. But for now, let's just focus on the free N8N version and how it works. So yeah. Also, another advantage of N8N is that it is open source. So being open source allows it to be used anywhere, on your local computer, on a server, on a cloud, which gives you control and access over your data. Also, wide range of integration supports 300 plus applications like Slack, Gmail, databases like SQL, Postgre, you just name it. So this allows you to combine a lot of different apps and just amplify the functionalities. So if I go back to workflows, as you could see, so I'll quickly run you through the whole N8N overview or the whole N8N dashboard. So we have production executions, which is 0, or it says connecting, but we currently have no production executions, failed production executions, failure rate, time saved, and runtime on average. So these would populate once we start working on N8N. So on the left hand side, in this column, we have overview, we have projects. Under projects, we have personal. This is our personal space. We can also add project, and this project we can also add people to the project. So once we create this project, if we make, let's just say, an automation flow, it would be under this project and not under personal. So this project would have its own separate credentials, executions, and project settings. All in all, it is just a complete different workspace which allows you and your team to collaborate on. Then we have the admin panel. So the admin panel just shows you on how many executions are left. Now this admin panel is not there in a self-hosted or a local hosted server, or sorry, a local hosted N8N, but yeah, it just allows you to open your N8N cloud, nothing more. Then we have templates. So the N8N community builds out a lot of automations which you could just plug and play. As you could see, almost 914 automations. You could just get an automation from here. Let's just say pulling data from service that doesn't have pre-built N8N integration. This is not something that's relevant. I'll quickly show you something that's relevant. Okay, so AI powered shorts creator. Now just keep in mind that a lot of these might sound really cool, but they would require expensive APIs, which means that again, it's up to you to bear the cost of these expensive APIs. Create session-based Telegram chatbot, generate enriched LinkedIn leads. So we got all these different host of workflows which you could just grab, plug it into N8N and start working on it or start customizing it to your own needs. So you can feel free to explore this, but right now we'll move back to N8N. So then we have variables. So we can set up some variables which could be used across multiple workflows. Now, honestly, I don't use this as much, and it's not something that is very widely used, just because it's just not used. So I could make a variable, let's just say API key, and let me just give this API key a random value. If I click on save, okay, so I cannot add a space. I'll add an underscore. If I click on save, so this is a variable which is the API key. I could just call it OpenAI API key, and I can put my actual OpenAI API key right here, which would allow me to, which would just simply allow me to use this variable anywhere in the workflow. Then we got insights. So this is just an analytical dashboard of all our flows, telling us, okay, so how many are failed, what's the failure rate, and all that kind of stuff. Then we have help. So under help, we have quick start, documentation. So this documentation is really beneficial once you're doing some complex workflows and stuff like that. You might need to jump to this documentation once in a while to understand something that you might not know. So all in all, this is really important. Then we have forum. There's no need to go under forum and courses. Then we have report a bug. So you could just report a bug if you find any in N8N, and then there's about N8N. So that just pretty much sums it up. Then we have so at the bottom left, we have a profile, and near the profile we have settings. So if I click on settings, you could see my first name, last name, email, etc. Then we have users. So under users, we have Shreyas R, which is me. External secrets, environments, SSO. So external secrets are, it allows you to get secrets or API keys from a different platform. Let's just say OpenAI. It just allows you to import them, but you cannot have it unless you're on an enterprise plan. It's nothing special. It's just that it's something that's convenient. SSO allows your team to sign in using, let's just say they're given ID pass and they don't have to use a Gmail or stuff. They're just given a particular ID and pass which they could use to log in into their company workspace. Then we have LDAP. So again, it's something that I've not used, and it's not something that that is used very often. Then we have log streaming. So it's all available for the enterprise plan. So nothing to look at here, to be honest. So let's just go into N8N and start from scratch. So this is how the N8N workflow looks like, or this is how the N8N workspace looks like. So if I let's just say, so this particular button allows you to zoom into the workflow. This particular button allows you to zoom out of the workflow, and this reset button brings the zoom to the default zoom. Then we have zoom to fill in, which would center the whole application instead of being scattered. So once you build long and complex automations, sometimes let's just say the automation would go out of this working space. So you could zoom out to see where the automation is and what needs to be configured and stuff like that. So I hope this is clear till now. I'll just name this my first N8N flow. Then I'll quickly go to, so if I click on this plus icon, I'll find a whole host of triggers. Now, any automation that you build out would obviously almost 99% of the time would start with a trigger. So we have a lot of triggers right here. We have on event, on app event. We have on schedule. So this on a schedule, this event runs maybe every morning. You just need to schedule when this should run, and it would run at that particular time, no question asked. Then we have on webhook call. So we could call this webhook, and that way this let's just say on that way this 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 N8N scenario would execute. Then we have on form submission. So if you have a web form, in that case, on its submission, this whole workflow would execute. Then when executed by another workflow. This one is especially useful when you're dealing with AI agents. So we'll look into that later. On chat message. So N8N has its own inbuilt chat, which allows you to trigger workflows again. Then we have other ways. So we can look into the other ways later, but the most common one is trigger manually, which is just a single trigger. So if I were to zoom in here, so it says when clicking test workflow, this workflow would trigger. Okay, so these are the whole host of triggers. Now after the trigger, we have another set of nodes right here. We got AI, action in app, data transformation, flow, core, human in the loop, add another trigger, and etc, etc, etc. So this one, again, you can add another trigger too. So on scheduled, let's just say on a certain schedule, or maybe I'll add another trigger. So scroll down on form submission. So they're all various triggers, and they all could run. So this workflow can execute if any of these triggers are triggered, as simple as that. But for sake of simplicity, I'll delete these two and only keep this one. So now if I go into the plus icon, as you could see, we have multiple set of nodes. So let's just first start with the AI node. So if I click on the AI nodes, we'll see AI templates. So these templates are as I just showed you, this whole page. If I click here, it would take me to the AI template section, which again I just showed you guys. Nothing special here. Then we have AI agent. Now this is the node that is the most used, and this node would be the core discussing topic of our course. Then we have OpenAI. So this is also an AI node. So AI agent and OpenAI are almost the same, except for one minor difference, which I'll tell you about later. Then we have basic LLM chain. So this basic LLM chain allows you to use, let's just say AI models which are not present inside N8N. Then we have information extractor, question and answer chain, sentiment analysis, summarization chain, text classifier, AI transform, and other AI nodes. So I personally always use these three: AI agent, OpenAI, and basic LLM chain. So I've never in my short tenure of AI building AI agents, I've never used all these nodes below. So let's just not talk about it, because we'll never be using them anyway. Let's just click on AI agent. I'll delete this. So I think I'll stop it here. So we just discussed about AI agents, action in an app. So we just discussed about different kinds of nodes, how to set up N8N, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. So hello students, we are back. Now I'll quickly tell you about AI agents. So this is the magical being that shall replace half the population's jobs. So this is how the zoom functionality works, by the way. So I'm zooming in and zooming out. If I click on this zoom to fit, it fits the whole workspace. Let's just say that my workspace is out of sight. If I click here, it's gonna make sure that everything, all the components inside the workspace is within our sight. So let's just go back to when clicking text workflow, this will run. So I'll connect these two nodes. So this connection ensures that once this is clicked, this node triggers. That's all right here. We can also add filters and stuff, but we'll talk about that later. So right now we have AI agent, and this AI agent will do nothing, simply nothing. So if I double click on this, this is our agent name. So this agent name has no I mean, this agent name does not directly affect what the agent does. So I could just say agent 001. So it's like the first agent that we will build. So it's named agent 001. So source for prompt. Now this source for prompt, this prompt is this would be the system message of our AI agent. So sometimes what's going to happen is that you'll have a webhook, and the webhook input would act as the prompt for this agent. But right now we are not going to do that. We'll define the prompt below. So this is the prompt. This would be the user message, simply put. So what I'll do now is I'll create a blog posting AI agent, or let's just say a blog posting agent for our blog. Let's just take for example, okay? Because I think the best way to teach how this an AI agent works is to just simply practically use it. So first of all, let's just complete the explanation. So we have prompt, which would be the user message. I'll type out, you are an expert prompt generator. You shall give me a quick apologies, it's not prompt, it's blog. Give me a quick 200 word concise to the point blog post on the given topic. Now this prompt actually does not belong here. I'll tell you where it belongs. So first, under options, click on add option, and then we'll click on system message. Now this prompt is actually the system message. So what's the difference between the system message and a user message? So think of the user message as the input we give to the AI. Think of the system message as the predefined set of instructions that the AI would follow. So under system message, as you could see, this is the system message that we have. Now we can also output prompt in a specific format, and for that we'll need to use an output parser, but I'll tell you this later on, so don't worry about this for now. Then this is one of the options that we have. Now you'll almost every time use system message. If I click under options, I'll see return immediate steps. You can turn this on, and this would just simply tell us if the output has been done or not, or have you got an output or not. That's as simple as that. Now in the options, we got max iterations. Honestly, I never use this, and I wouldn't suggest you guys to use this as well, because there are a few things that are better left untouched. Then we have automatically pass through binary images. Now this is something that I don't use. This you might use this in the 0.1 scenario, but usually this is never used. So the percentage is really low of you actually using it. So I just told you we'd be making a blog posting agent. So I'll quickly connect this to a chat model. Now think of chat model as your brain, and we got so many different selections to choose from as a model brain. So we can use OpenAI chat model, and N8N gives you 100 free OpenAI credits. Now if I claim the credits, we can, the issue with this is that we can only use GPT-4o mini, which is a relatively weaker model of OpenAI. Still, I don't mind. So under this is the chart model, and the model settings. If we click on options, we have frequency penalty, maximum number of tokens, response format, presence penalty, sampling temperature, timeout, max retries, and top P. So I'll only tell you the ones which are relevant and actually have, let's just say, have an effect on the output. So maximum number of tokens. You can think of this as the thinking power that you allot to an AI agent. So if I allot this AI agent a thinking power of 500, that would be enough. But if I allot this AI agent a thinking power of 10, then this would not be enough to write a blog post. So let's just say that a thinking power of 10 allows you to give answers in 1 to 2 words, and it does not allow you to think much. That's why let's just keep it to 500, or let's just keep it to 1000 in this case. 1000 is our optimal number, and yeah, I mean the maximum tokens, it's just simply that how much brain power or thinking power the AI model can use. Now again, if you keep it too low, then it's gonna get stuck at that particular point. Let's just say it needs to use 500 thinking powers, but it is only using 2 thinking powers just because that's the max limit. So in that case, it's the output that you will get would be really, really bad. That's why we keep the thinking power to the max of 1000, so that if the AI agent needs to use 700 thinking powers, then it could use that. So that's what you could think of as tokens. Then under add options, we have sampling temperature. So a temperature determines the randomness of the output. So the temperature could be 1, which is really random, and the temperature could be 0, which is, let's just say, it's really deterministic. So you can think of this as a creativity scale. So 1 is highly creative and 0 is not creative at all. Now the sweet spot is usually between 0.5 to 0.7. I'll just keep it 0.7. This has a direct correlation on the output. So this is really important to understand. Then we have so all these additional ones you don't need to worry about that much, to be honest. Max retries, timeout, and stuff like that, because they're not practically used as much. Even though these are a few options that we have, you won't ever practically use them. So there's no point in wasting time trying to understand that. Then so let's just add a Google Sheet here and just find a Google Sheet module. So we got Google Sheets here. And we'll fetch, let's just say, we'll get rows from the sheet. So this is the Google Sheet module. So I'll explain to you how this flow would work. When I click here, when I click on test workflow, this would go inside the Google Sheet and get all the rows that this Google Sheet has. Now we need to configure the Google Sheet module. So before that, I'll quickly explain to you where do we find the Google Sheet module. So last time we saw AI, this AI section. Now let's go to action in an app. So under action in an app, as I told you right here, that N8N allows 300 plus apps. These are all the supported apps by N8N, and these apps usually work on the APIs of the application. And right here you'll also find Google Sheets somewhere. This is Google Sheet. Okay, if I click on Google Sheet, we have a lot of different options. So we have document actions. So it's like this action would create or delete a whole spreadsheet or a whole document. Now sheet within document actions. So in a spreadsheet, we have the whole file, and then we have separate sheets like sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 2, sheet 3 in a workbook. So we can update values in a row of the sheet of the spreadsheet using this particular node. So we can also append a row, or we can also update the whole row in the sheet if required. We can clear the whole sheet. We can create a new sheet. You can delete the same sheet or a different sheet. We can delete rows or columns from the sheet. So we could delete a whole column or a whole row depending on your requirement. We can get rows, which means we can get information from the different sheets in the Google Sheet, and we can update rows in the Google Sheet. Now also we have triggers. On the triggers, these would act as a trigger to the AI agent or to the workflow. As I told you, you cannot make a workflow without a trigger. So we also have trigger which are directly, these triggers are directly linked to Google Sheets. As simple as that. So we have on row added. So it would trigger the whole workflow if a row is added. And if a row is updated, again, these are all triggers that would, again, as the name suggests, would trigger the workflow on row updated or either on both row added or updated. So these three triggers could be used, but no one actually uses them. We usually use get rows and update rows. At max, you'll use create or delete spreadsheet and append or update row in a sheet. That's all you'll use. You'll never use clear sheet, and I'm telling this from experience. So now I'll connect Google Sheets to our AI agent. So the flow would be that when I click on test workflow, the data would go into Google Sheets. Sorry, it's going to fetch data from the Google Sheets, and then it's going to send the data into our AI agent. So we have our chat model, which is the brain of our AI agent. So I'll quickly configure Google Sheets. So if I go into Google Sheets, I'll select and I'll create a new credential. I'll click on sign in with Google and I'll sign in with one of my accounts. I'll select this, I'll click on continue, and now my Google account is successfully authenticated with N8N. This would allow me to get documents or fetch documents and sheets from the Google Sheet linked to this account. So if I go to Sheets in Google and click here, I'll switch account to the account that I'm using in N8N. Apologies for that. So we go to home. Under here, we switch our account again. And this is the account that we're using, which has been recently linked to, let's just say N8N. Okay. So I'll go to, so now I'll go to Sheets. I'll create, under the blank sheet, I'll create a new sheet. So click on blank sheet here. I'll type out my first workflow AI agent blogs. So right here we have different columns. So I'll name one of these columns as blog subject. Sounds good. Status would, so either the blog subject, the blog has been written on the subject or not, and I'll say output. So the status could be not done. Control C, and I'll grab this, and let's just say I'll populate all the below cells with not done. Subject would be, let me just ask Claude to generate me a few blog subjects for an AI. So generate a few blog subjects for an AI agent to write a blog on, give as spreadsheet column. So the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to waste my brain power thinking about subjects to write blogs on if AI can do it for me. So always remember that you should use AI to the most of the potential. Like for most of the work, you should always use AI. So I'll copy this, go to Sheets, I'll paste it here, and these are the blog topics. I'll expand this. So this is status, which is not done. I'll drag this down, and this would be the AI output. Now you must be thinking, well, how would AI actually write blogs on this topic change the status and output the blog? Well, that's what AI agents are used for. So I'll quickly select my first. So in here, as you could see, this is a connected account. Then we have resource. So what resource we are using? So is it like are we talking about a document, or are we talking about a sheet within a document? So currently we are talking about a sheet within document, my first AI agent blogs. So we are talking about sheet 1, or we are referencing to sheet 1 in general. So now we have a whole set of operations which is clear, etc, etc, but I'll click on get rows. Okay, now I'll select the document which is my first workflow AI agent blogs, and then I'll select the sheet, which would be sheet 1. Now in the filters, I'll add a filter. This filter would be status. Now let's just say that I want this sheet to only output blogs for the topics which have status not done. Okay, so if I want to do that, in that case I'll say status not done, and that should be it. Okay, so this should be it. Now what I'll do is I'll show you first how the filter actually works. So let's just say instead of not done, it is all done, and I'll replace this whole thing. So the status is done. Let's just say if I click here, save, if I just delete this for now, and if I, or wait, I won't delete it, I'll just keep it connected, save. If I click on test workflow, okay, shit, I have to configure this. So I'll say test. So because we need to put in something, else it won't work. So I just typed out test. Now if I click on test workflow, you'll see that we got no output. The reason being that none of these rows or none of these cells have not done as status. Now if I put not done for one of the blog topics, you'll see how this would change. Test step. Now this time we'll get one output. The reason being that one of the blog topics has had status not done. So I hope this was clear. Now, right now, under user prompt, I'll remove this. I'll say blog topic. I'll type that. After that, we'll have this blog topic, which is a dynamic variable. This could be different every time. So I just grab this and drag it here, and it is done. I'll also add a few more specifics to the prompt. I'll say you are free to search the web and give output. I'll turn off return immediate step, so I'll just simply delete it just because it has no significance. And now I'll click on save. Now we know about the chat model, which is the brain of the AI agent. Then we have memory. So under memory, we have a lot of memories, which is MongoDB, Motorhead, PostgreSQL, Redis chat, Zata, Zap. We have all these databases, but for beginners, as you could see, it says simple memory. I click here. So context window length is how many conversations or how many context should it remember. Okay. So I'll just keep it to 10 just for the sake of it. And now this database would save, let's just say 10 outputs from this AI agent. Now under tools, we don't need to add any tool right now. We will add the tool later, but let's just first see the agent output blog post. Now to see the output, I'll extend this out. Also, I'll add another specific here. Only output the blog post and no other text. Click on save. Now after this, I'll grab another sheets module, but this time it would be append or update a row in a sheet. Now I'll select the same spreadsheet. But this time, first of all, there's an option to select column match on. So I'll tell you what I'm trying to do. So as you could see, let's just say that this AI wrote a blog for this particular topic. So I want to ensure that this topic does not get repeated again and again, and instead all the other topics below get get a blog output. In that case, I need to turn this if done from not done to done. If we have an output, obviously, else there's no need. So what I'll do is, once the AI agent makes the prompt, or sorry, makes the blog, I'll go to Google Sheets. So select columns to match on. The reason being that, let's just say, how would the AI know which row to refer? So we'll use blog topic as, let's just say, the match on column. So go here, select columns manually. So I'll select blog topic. I'll execute the previous node, save. No session ID found. Define below. So we need to get the session ID for this. So let's just look at database after a while. Let's just first work, because getting a session ID is a whole challenge on its own. So if I click on save, if I run this test workflow, so what you will see is we got one of the topics here. Now, yeah, if I test workflow now, so we should receive a blog post. Output, the evolution of AI assistant has been remarkable. Something like that, okay? Now, if I go to, let's just say, our append Google Sheets, I'll put this into the output and the status would be done. And now I'll save this. Okay. Also, I'll add a few more stuff to the prompt, which is make sure your output is highly SEO optimized. So why do we SEO optimize the blog? That's because the only role of a blog is to increase the visibility of the web page using SEO on the search engine. That's the only role of a blog. There's no other meaningful reason for a blog to exist. But they do, just because that's their only role. So click on optimize and click on save. Now if I click on save again, if I test the workflow, so what you'll see is this would get, the status would be converted to not from not done, it would be converted to done, and we would have a whole blog post as an output. So let's just do it again. So the AI is writing the blog post for us, and this should be done in a few seconds. So the column match on, yeah. Oh, I forgot this one. So under the column match on, we'll grab the blog topic, because I just told you that if the AI does not know where to put the data, it will not put the data, because then it could cause a lot of errors. So now let's just do the whole thing again, and I'll go to the Google Sheet, and now this status would be converted to done, and we would have the whole output as the blog. So the evolution of AI assistants from rule-based to multimodal agents. So this is the topic, and we have we have the whole blog post. So now what I could do is I could convert the whole done to, let's just say, not done, and we'll get blog post for all of them. So if I click on test workflow again, and I just watch the columns get populated, you'll see like you can just generate blog post en masse. And the best part is that all of this is completely SEO optimized, which just makes it much more better. So I think it's still running because there's a lot to output. So, and also you can check executions of what happened during the execution, what went wrong. So if I were to click on debug in editor, this would open here and I could just make changes to it. So I'll be covering that in the next lesson or in the next module. So first of all, I'll quickly see the execution which is taking place right here, and in a short while we'll see all of this get populated real soon. So until this is running, because there's no evident error, which means it's still running, let's just move on to the next slide. So building your first AI agent: trigger, AI model node, action, authenticate and manage limits. So we, as I told you in the last lesson, that we'd need trigger for any AI automation to work with or to start with. We need a model node. So this would be the model node. And as you could see, we made so many blog posts on mass. Now this would have taken up till like the last 3-4 years. It would have taken you like an army of writers, copywriters to build this, but now AI did this in a single click. So yeah, this was our first AI agent. Do let me know what you think, and yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. So hello everyone, last time we made this AI blog poster or blog posting agent. Now I'll show you how tools play a crucial role in an AI agent. So first of all, I'll quickly show you how a Windows buffer memory works. So this Windows buffer memory, as you could see, you can type in something as your key. So key could be anything. For now, I've typed in my test ID 1. So what this would do is this key, all in all, it's gonna save output from 10 whatever instances it is. So context window length is 10. So it's gonna save the past 10 interactions with this AI agent, and it could refer to it whenever it's creating a new output. So this is especially helpful when you are trying to output something complex and you need to ensure that the last conversation or the last output was kept in mind, something like that. So right now let's look at tools. So under tools we have a whole host of tools right here. So if I click on tools, you'll see we can call a complete different N8N workflow. We also have a coding tool which would trigger a code, and then we have HTTP request. Now we also have MCP, which is something that has been a hype, or it is a hype word right now, and I'll be explaining that to you as well. Now MCPs only work on local servers as per my information, which means that we would need to migrate our workflow into a local host or a cloud server to use MCP. And then we have these vector stores which nobody uses, and then we have other tools. So under other tools, let's just say that I want to save this blog post into Google Drive as a Word document. So I'll search for Drive and click on Google Drive tool, create a credential, and this time, so as you could see, this requires a whole OAuth configuration, which is a bit difficult, but you guys should know how to do it. So as you know me, I'll be telling you how to do this as well. So let's just go to Google Cloud. The reason being that you need to get this OAuth configuration from Google Cloud. So if I go to Google Cloud, I'll click on the first link. I'll change the account to the account that I'm currently using, which is this one. Close this one. Now in here, I'll click on start for free. We might need to answer a few questions, which we'll quickly blitz through. So yeah, this is, no, remind me later. So this is our Google done. A free account. Of course, we're on a free account. So whatever we are doing now, it could be done on a free account. So don't worry about that. Now this console could look absolutely overwhelming, which I completely understand. First thing we need to do is ignore everything else. Simply click on select project. Under select project, you already have your first project. So let's just use this. Double click on my first project and you'll be inside your first project. Now inside, when you're in here, click on APIs and services and click on enabled APIs and services. When you're in here, search for Drive and click on this first result, which is Google Drive API. Now we'll enable this API. We'll wait for this to be enabled. As you could see, it's being enabled here. And I think it has been enabled. So yeah, we have just enabled Google Drive API. Now what we'll do next is go to credentials. Oh wait, we could first need to go to OAuth consent screen. Just follow what I'm doing and you'll be good. No need to worry about this overwhelming dashboard. Now once you're under OAuth, so once you're inside OAuth consent screen, go to data access. So once you're under data access, click on add or remove scopes. Scroll down, allow showing for like the next 100 data, like this next 100 items. Now go up here, deselect all rows and then select all rows. Once it's done, click on update. So now we have added all these scopes inside our Google our project, so our Google Drive project. Now if I click on save, so our Google Cloud will have all the access to all these APIs, Gmail API, Google Drive API, etc. So data access changes saved. Once this is done, go to clients. So we got web client 1 and web client 2. Okay, let's configure this later. Now go to audience. So under audience, this is currently a testing app. Do not change this at all. Scroll down and click on add test users. So I'll add myself as a test user, which is personalized CAAI @gmail.com. Save. I'll also add another email, which is shreyas@gmail.com. This is my personal email. So you only add emails. I think I messed up the spelling. Let's just do it again. I'll click on save. So I think there's another. Still, we got this account personalized CA in here, and this means this test users, adding test users means that we can use this app, or we can use this app's credentials for testing purposes. That's all. So once this is done, we'll go to clients and we'll create, or first we'll go to credentials. So just set up the audience, go to data access and enable data access. Also, I think under branding, we need to make, so under authorized domains, we have N8N already, which is good. In case you don't have N8N, what you need to do is go in here, create credential, grab this data, or grab this URL. So if you don't have N8N in here, click on add domain and type n8n.com. Or if you're using a local server, type out your local server name. For me, it's Cloudbean. For you, it could be hosting or anything like that. So once all branding, audiences, and data access changes are done, go to credentials. Now under credentials, we'll click on create credential and we'll click on OAuth client ID. Under application type, this would be a web application. We'll name it my first AI auth, something like that. Now under authorized redirect URIs, click on add URL and paste the URL which you see right here. Once done, click on create. Now what we'll get here is a client ID and a client secret. So grab it, paste it here, grab this, paste it here. If you've done everything correctly, you'll be prompted to sign in, and once prompted, Click here. Now I think I messed up something, probably. Oh, wait, I know I didn't. That's cool. Okay. So it's connected. As you can see, this has been successfully connected. I close this. I close this. Now the connection was successful, which is good. Now I'll go to drive.google, and I'll change the user. So I'll change the user to personalized CA. I'll bring it here. Now what I'll do is I'll create next, got it. I'll create a new folder. This would be blog post. Create. Now what I want this tool to do is create, this would upload a file. So the file name would be blog. Or what I'll ask AI agent to do is, so I'll have to prompt the agent to use the Google Drive tool to upload blogs to Google Drive. So click here. I'll click this particular button, which would allow the AI model to decide the parameter. Click here. File name, input data. So this part I think should also be done by AI, but I don't know why it's not showing up. Also under parent drive, so we'll click on my drive, and from folder we'll grab blog post as the folder, and then file name we could call it blog, and something like that. And now if I click on save, I'll go to AI agent and tell the AI agent that you also have access to Google Drive tool. So once the blog is made, upload it to Google Drive as a doc format. Sounds good. Click on save, go to Google Drive. So input data field name would be automatically determined. So under options, let me just see if we need to add anything right here. So upload, yeah, it is upload. Yeah, upload file, makes sense. Click on save. Now if I test workflow, I'll test the workflow for one of this. So I'll turn the status from done to not done, and I'll remove this whole output, and then let's just try using it. If I click on test workflow, it's successfully executed. Wait, what? So yeah, I added a dash here, which I shouldn't have added. It's actually a space. So now this should work. Test workflow. So what should technically now happen is that I've given my AI agent access to Google Drive, which it didn't read properties. Okay, so there's a small error. Input data field name, makes sense. So let me see what went wrong. So I'll close this. Makes sense. What went wrong? Let me check. So what does the AI agent has to say? Test step again. So it should upload a file to Drive, but it is not doing that. I'll grab this, Control X. Yeah. Control V, and input data field name. Let the model define this parameter. Save. Test workflow. Now let's see. I'll remove this part for a while now, just so that it doesn't automatically update it. Click on not done. Click on test workflow. So it retrieved the last conversations or last inputs from the simple memory. I think it's still giving out an error. It says, I'll just name it blog 1, if that makes sense. And input data field should be this, but somehow it's not working as expected. Let me just check tools for Drive. It's Google Drive data, file, upload. name of the, so okay, I'm not actually uploading a file. So wait, instead of this, I think instead of doing this upload one, I'll use Word. So Word, maybe do we have that? No, I think it's Docs. Yeah, Google Docs. This should be a better alternative. So create a document, select credentials, create credentials. And I think what we'll do now is go to data access real quick. I think I also need to add a Docs API. So go to Docs, Google Docs API, grab this, click on enable API. I'll close this one for now. Now if we go back, as you could see, the API is being added. If I go back again and add or remove scopes, close this. So I'll check for the 100 scopes that we have. So I think, so we need to change the whole thing in OAuth consent screen. So I go to OAuth consent screen, data access, add scopes. So we got 54 of these. If I click on 100, so we cannot still see the docs API. So I'll refresh this once to check if the docs API has been added. So now if I click on add or remove scopes, I should see, so we got 56, which means that there are 2 extra APIs which have just been added. I'll enable these, click on update. And now what I'll do is I'll go back. Let me just see if the docs API was added. So are the docs API added? Drive, save. Oh, should I got save? Yeah, gotcha. So I'll save this, and the docs API should be included in our credentials. So if I go back to credentials, grab my first AI auth and grab these credentials again, I think this should do. So this is how you actually update credentials and actually update access to more APIs or increase access to more APIs here. Click on sign in with Google, click on the account right here, click on continue, select all, continue, and this should close automatically. So I'll close this, and this way we just did the authentication for Google Docs. Now click on document, click on create, options from Google Docs tool. So where will we save it? So it's my drive, click on blog post, title would be, well, the AI should decide the title, of course. Add description. I don't actually need to add a description being honest. So yeah, I click create a document, and yeah, just save it. And I'll change the name. So instead of Google Docs, I'll name it you have access to Google Docs tool. Click on save. Now I'll remove these two. I'll put it to the side, and if I test the workflow, so it actually made a Google Doc. So if I go to my blog post, I should see the evolution of AI. So yeah, so this is what we got here. Now we were only able to create the document. Now I'll tell you the next part, which is really interesting, and this one's gonna be how to update the document. So once the doc is created, we'll need the Google Doc API again, but this time to update the document in general. So select folder, this time document, we need to update the document. So doc ID, so I think they should grab it by itself. Simplify test text, okay. Insert, yeah, so we'll insert this text, and yeah, this should work. If I click on save, let's just see how this one works out now. So yeah, I'll stop this for a while because I just realized that we also need to tell the agent your Google Docs tool. So once the blog is made, upload it. Once the blog is made, upload it to the Google Drive as a doc format and update the content of the Google Doc to the blog post you made. Save. Let's just test the workflow again. So it's the AI chat model is doing its thing. Now, if I go back to Google Drive, blog post. So we got a few of these. The most latest one is this one, which was created at 4.6. So this is a blog post that we have. So once we are done with our blog posting agent, I'll quickly run you through all the nodes that are available on N8N in a lot more detail. So as we're talking about triggers, we saw manual trigger in our last module where we used the manual trigger to make, let's just say, a simple blog posting agent. Now I'll show you the webhook trigger. So I'll quickly grab a webhook trigger here, and as you could see on the webhook trigger on the left we have an option to use test URL, but I usually don't prefer using test URLs just because it is much convenient to directly use the production URLs. So test URLs allows you to test input or test webhook request, but I usually use the production URL and also the HTTP method in case you are expecting data should always be post. So there's a big misconception or a confusion between a lot of people is that they think that one end, let's just say if I open Postman, so Postman is an API testing platform. I'll quickly open it up and I'll say sign up for free. I'll just use one of these accounts and sign up for free. So this allows us to test APIs in general. So I don't need to do it like this. So you can sign into Postman using your Google account. Once you are in, you would be able to test webhook triggers. So webhook triggers receive data in JSON format, which I'll let you know real quick. I'll just select something. So Shreyas R, click on continue, and it's setting up our account. So getting started, I'll quickly send an API request. And so what many people think is that one end of the API request should be get and another end of the API request should be post, so that it's opposite on some kind of that kind of logic. But in reality, both ends of the API call should be the same. So if my webhook URL is post, then I should use the post message to send data or simply to trigger the webhook. I'll paste my webhook URL in Postman and I'll go to body and let me just use. So you got so many options here. We also got headers. So in headers you can send API keys and stuff. We got authorization, we got parameters, body, etc. So first what I'll do is I've grabbed the webhook URL, I posted it into Postman, and then as you could see we have the path. So path could be anything. I could just change the path to, let's just say, AI agents masterclass. Looks good. So now I have to use this particular URL and I'll paste it here. Now there's one thing to note: authentication could always be none. You don't need to add authentication to a webhook request unless and until you are building something extremely complex. Don't look into this. Response, so this should be immediately. Respond should be immediately, and under options you can add maybe you can add IP restrictions and stuff, but it is not really used, so don't worry about it. Under settings you don't need to add anything, so just click on save. Now I have to activate this workflow in order to receive data. And if I click on send, workflow has started, as you could see. Now I will not see anything here, but if I go under executions, you'll see that workflow has started or this webhook was executed. As simple as that. So this is how webhook works as a trigger. Now right now we manually sent a webhook request to the webhook, but what happens is that multiple applications allow to send webhook request via their APIs and stuff. So This is the webhook trigger in a nutshell. Then we have, I'll delete this one really quick. Then we have, let's just say, on an app event. So app event, so we could just grab any app from this whole host of apps, and these can also act as trigger. Now I won't go into all of these apps. It's again unique to your use case. Then we have on a schedule. So it it just runs your particular workflow on every X days or after every X hours. So let's just say the trigger interval is 15, or let's just say 10 seconds. Okay, click on save, and if I click on test workflow, so as you could see, day of the week, Thursday, March, month, hours, seconds, time zone, etc. So it's gonna trigger this every 10 seconds, something like that. So this is schedule trigger. So you can just schedule the trigger and all of that. And as you could see that the workflow will run if you define it once you activate it. So we can also test this manually, but to test this I might need to connect it with something else, because you cannot directly test these workflows or test these triggers. So I'll delete this for now, but this schedule triggers simply allow you to run the same workflow after X amount of time. So I'll delete this now. So we looked at schedule, we looked at webhook, now we'll look at on form submission. So again, this is the production URL of the form. If I click here, paste it here, this is the form which has problem loading. So again, there's no authentication required. Form title would be survey form. This is especially useful. I'll show you why. Survey form, your feedback means the world to us. Again, something cheesy. Now we have form elements. So name, it's gonna be text. Placeholder, it's a required field obviously. Email, text, it's required, and that's all. I think that's all. Okay, if I click on save, then what you can do is I can embed this form onto a website, and I could just grab leads, or I could just grab visitors from that particular website. So what I will also do is go to home, quickly create a new spreadsheet. This would be form data, and then I'll put a name and an email column. If I go in here, as you could see, name, then we got email. Now in here I'll add the sheets module, and it's gonna, now in here we are going to update the whole sheet, sorry, we are going to update the whole row. So we can click on append row in sheet. Oh wait, I think this one's wrong. I think we should use the update feature. So update a whole row from data, sorry, from form data, and sheet would be sheet 1. Damn, it's a great tongue twister. Anyways, click on save. I'll grab the form again. So this is the production form. Control V. This is the survey form. I'll say Shreyas Raj. Email would be shreyas@gmail.com. Click on submit. Form has been submitted. Now, if I were to check the execution, you'll see that, wait, where's the execution? I'll quickly go up, and yeah, so as you could see, the execution did happen, but there was an error which we'll solve real quick. So scroll back, go into Google Sheets, name would be name, email would be email, and then if I were to save this, test it again, as you could see, we'll have name and email right here. Just a second. So column match on parameters required. Update row, select column to match on row number, let's just say. So row number, column to match on, actually we're just updating the sheet. So is column to match on required? That's the question. Map column automatically, so that shouldn't be an issue. And So yeah, okay, if I click on test step, I would love to see so how it works. Okay, so form data got a whole host of more stuff here. So if I refresh to see updated fields, if I test again, let's see what we get. So now sheet range undefined. So mapping column mode, so it's map manually, sorry, it's map automatically, so which means we cannot use we cannot use update. So we need to use append or update row. This is the one that we need to use. Row number would be, I don't think we need to look at row number. Map manually, I think, and yeah, this should do. So column name to match on would be name, not test. And yeah, as you could see, this is updated. So now if I were to add something else, I just say refresh this and say Priya Jaiswal, priya@gmail.com. Submit. Refresh this. Adi@gmail.com. So what you just saw is that, I'll quickly save this because I think these ones also ended in, yeah, these ones were also in error. So if I click on debug, unpin, we'll just try it again. This time it should work properly. Refresh. So after every error fixing, you need to update it. So I'll say Priya, and it would be priya@gmail.com. Click on submit. Now I think I should see the data in here. priya@gmail.com. If I say Jane, so Jane@gmail.com, submit. So I'll see her name in here populated. So this was the form trigger. Again, extremely useful to a particular use case, but I'm just showing you how this particular one works. Again, I'll delete this, and I'll delete this. So we need to add a step. Now form's done, then we could use executed by another workflow. Now this one I would like to show you guys when you are working on some hardcore agent product or projects. Let's just click on a chat message. So once I click here, make chat publicly available. So you can also, again, it's a chat URL, which I think we can grab. If I paste it online, I don't think this is not going to work here, but I think we can embed this chat into, let's just say, a website. So hosted chat, embedded chat, etc. Hi there, how can I help you? How can I assist you today? So as you could see, if I open the chat and if I say yo, so this trigger got triggered. As simple as that. Now you can assign this to be an interactive AI agent inside the chat box, but I think you guys are smart enough to figure it out from here. So these were the main triggers that we have, and I'll see you in the next module. This was a really short one on how to use triggers and the different kinds of triggers. Thank you. See you soon. So now I think it's time to look at some essential nodes, because we have a whole host of nodes, 300 plus integrations, and we all know that we will not use all of them. So there are some nodes which are really essential and which is used regularly or a lot, while some are barely touched. So I'll quickly touch through the really important and regularly used nodes. First of all is when click test workflow. So in after going there, we have a AI section in AI agents. So in the under AI nodes, now we have AI agent, OpenAI, basic LLM chain, etc. Now again, we got a whole host of other stuff as well, but the main focus of our course would be these three. You can say these three AI agent or these three nodes. So basic LLM chain allows you to use LLMs which are not readily available. Let's just say for now, as you can see, if I grab an AI agent and I'll delete these. So what you'll see is on the chat model, we do not have a few LLMs like Cohere. Cohere is a great LLM provider. We don't have Cohen. Cohen is Alibaba's AI agent. So we don't have these specific AI agents available here. So in case we still want to use them, we could use basic LLM chain for that. Okay, so I'll show you that as well. So under AI, this OpenAI agent is really similar to our AI agent. So yeah, as you could see under OpenAI, we have create assistant, delete an assistant, list assistant, message an assistant, update an assistant. So this assistant actions are actually performed on pre-made assistants, which you can make inside your OpenAI account. Then we have text action, so we can message a model, classify text for violations. Now I've never used this one, God knows what it is. I've only used message a model, analyze image and generate images. We can also generate audio. I've never tried that one. We can also transcribe a recording and we can translate a recording. So these are a few new options right here. So if I click on message a model, it looks really similar, as you can see, to our agent node, except it does not need a chat model, because it is a chat model itself and it does not allow memory. Even though it still allows access to tools. So this OpenAI message model could also be classified as an AI agent, but again it lacks memory, so that's the only drawback. Now if I check for the basic LLM chain, which is this one, again this one needs a model and it cannot use tools. So this is the real basic difference between all three of these: AI agent, OpenAI model, and basic LLM chain. So again, the model could be anything besides. So yeah, we got Cohere model, we got Ulama, we got Hugging Face. So these are not available to use in AI agent model, and hence we need to use them via this basic LLM chain. So if I click on Cohere model, I'll select create credentials and I'll quickly go to Cohere AI. So Cohere is like a secure AI provider. So this AI agent provider, or this AI provider in general, provides services to enterprise grade or simply to enterprises. It allows for better security and stuff like that. That's what I've heard from it. I'm not quite sure itself, but they give you a free API key, which is really good, first of all. And it is equivalent to, let's just say, GPT 4.0 or 4.5, and is some great stuff. And it gives you 1,000 free requests. So something which should be capitalized on. So if I go to API keys, as you could see, we cannot get a production key, but you can sure as hell get a trial key. So I'll make this visible. Click on copied, go to N8N, click on paste, click on save, and now we can use our basic LLM chain to do stuff. So user prompt would be topic Godzilla. Add a prompt, make a movie script. We're just testing, so I mean we can also have some random bullshit, it won't matter. So basic LLM chain, connect it here. So under Cohere model, we would need to select a model. So again, we need to manually select the model for Cohere. So I'll quickly search for the best model the team has. So let's go to dashboard. Or if not on the dashboard, yeah, so we got command A actually. So we need to actually know the correct text for command A. We need to know the proper model ID and stuff. So now we go back to N8N, paste it here, and voila, now it's going to use it. So if I click on test workflow, let's see what's going to happen. Click on save. Again, there was some error. Invalid request generated is not for modeled. Okay, please use chat API instead. Okay, please use chat API instead. So what API did I actually got? That's the question. API key. I think this is not a chat API, and this is a trial key. I got it, but yeah, I mean I cannot use this for chat. But I mean you can use similar models like Hugging Face and stuff. I don't know what's the problem with this, but system name or stuff. Okay, never mind. Define below. So this one's failed, but you can also use let's just say your own. You can use Hugging Face in all those platforms, which is cool. Then we have AI agents, so it can connect to your casual brains, as you could see. And OpenAI needs your OpenAI credential and can just work seamlessly with tools without having memory. So the best one to use is always AI agents, in my personal opinion. Again, it could be a bias. I'm not quite sure about it. Then let's just see what else we got under AI. So we got information extractor, never used. Question answer chain, I've never used all of these. So let's just not look into this and waste our time. Then we have action in an app. So we got all these apps, and the most used ones, the most you would probably use would be Google Drive. So if you're using Google Drive by any chance, you need to do a cloud authentication. You need to use Google Cloud and get a client ID and client secret and all that kind of stuff. So that's something that you might need to look into. Then we have data transformation and manipulation. So you can run a code if you want to on your input and output data. You can get date and time, which is current date and time, something like that. Never used AI transform, don't know what it is. Edit fields, so you could let's just say output field in certain JSON format, etc. You can filter, you can limit the number of items. So you can do all of that. You can split out data. You can so there's an aggregator and there's an iterator in make.com. So it's really similar to an aggregator and an iterator. Then we got merge, then we got summarize, then we got convert data. So we got compression, so we can compress files. Again, never use this. Convert to JSON, I've never used this one as well. Crypto, edit image, extract file, HTML, I've never used any of these except for like the ones at the top. So code and all that kind of stuff, I use them. So you can run your own code and stuff. Then yeah, if you look at Core, so this is a really good one. This is called an HTTP request module, and it is really widely used, and we would be using this a lot in the upcoming lectures. Nothing to worry about that there. Then we got execute a sub workflow, again used in the agentic workflows where a single AI agent cannot do everything, so you need to delegate work to different AI agents. Then we have execution data, so search and add execution data, something like that. And then on the N8N instance, I've never used this particular one. We got N8N form, we got no operation, do nothing, respond to webhook. Again, webhook's response is when you need to receive data to the same webhook, something like. And then we have wait. So I've used wait, I've used webhook response, and I've used execution to sub workflow. But apart from these six, I've not used any of these. So again, it must not be useful. Then we have human in the loop. So again, this allows a human supervisor to supervise, let's just say, the whole workflow, and maybe give its yes or give its go to certain workflows or certain operations which are really crucial and necessary for the company. So how will the human respond? It could be via Discord, Gmail, Google Chat, Microsoft Outlook, etc., etc., etc. So I usually prefer Telegram or Discord just because a lot of people are really active on Telegram and Discord. So that's how I use it. But it's been ages since I've used human in the loop, so I'm not quite sure. But yeah, this was a really quick rundown on all the different nodes that we have. For the HTTP node, I think we need a bit more discussion, maybe a whole module on HTTP node, just because of the fact that it is so diverse. You can do so much with the HTTP node that it's just crazy. So yeah, I'll see you in the next module. Cheers, appreciate it, bye bye. So now we'll look at a few more really important nodes which you guys should be aware of so that it helps you in your regular day-to-day builds. So there is also a trigger called email trigger. So as you could see, we also have a trigger for email. And now we need to create credentials for it, but this is a really important trigger in case you want your workflow to run based off email or incoming emails. In that case, you use this. Okay, so this is what we have. Now again, let's just build something really cool. We will build an email classifier agent which classifies the email into sales, into marketing, into support, etc. Let's just say this is our email trigger. So these are some real world use cases and can save you a whole lot of time in the long run. Now we'll grab an AI agent node, let's just say AI agent, and we'll use define below to define our prompt. Let's just say at the moment we don't need to type it anything here. We'll just add a system message, and then under chat model I'll grab OpenAI, and we are using free N8N credits till now. I'll eventually switch to my own API credits just because they don't last long. These credits will not last long, and GPT-4o is not the best model, GPT-4o mini. That's why currently we'll use it as long as these credits last. So we got an AI agent here, and then what we can do is we can put the output in, let's just say a Google Sheet, and we can update row, update or append row. If I were to go and under sheets within document, just click on append row, and we need to create a sheet, to be honest. So I'll go back to our home page and click on blank spreadsheet, and we'll type out email node, something like that. Okay, so email regarding sender, email content, and subject. So we'll populate these shortly. So let's just say that I'll use my own work email for this example. So if I double click on email trigger, and if I click on select credentials, and if I click on create new credential, then we'll be asked to type in a user, password, host, port, etc. So this is called an IMAP connection. Now if you are using your work email, or if you have ever done cold emailing, you should be aware of what IMAP or SMTP is. But in my case, I'll be using my own IMAP or SMTP server to log in into this particular inbox or IMAP settings. So let me just quickly show you what IMAP is. So IMAP and SMTP. So again, every provider, Outlook, Gmail, they all have different ways to enable IMAP and SMTP. I am fortunately on Hostinger, and Hostinger already has this enabled. So what I'll do is, under user, I'll type out my my Gmail, which is Shreyas, sorry, my email, which is shreyas@rapidxai.com. So this is my work email. Password would be, again, I'm not telling you that. Host would be, as per my information, let me just check. So you could just check what is the IMAP host. IMAP host for Hostinger. Once you find that, let's just say it's imap.hostinger.com. So grab this. The port needs to be 993, which I think is the case here. So yeah, I think it is the case here. And then if I click on save, credentials successfully created. Now again, we got an error here. It says authentication failed. Let's try it again. So if something like this happens to you, what you could do, now for me authentication was successful, but let's just say that something like that happens to you. What you could do is you can go to your email, or you can go to your let's just say provider. So I got Hostinger mail here, and if I search for Hostinger mail, I'll quickly log into my Hostinger web mail and enable under settings. We got it should be somewhere around here where you can find, let's just say the settings to enable IMAP. So we got feedback, we got in server settings, so encryption, special folders, contacts, composing, folders, identities, passwords. So in Hostinger, you don't need to enable this, but for every provider, it could be different. So I cannot obviously cover all the providers, but this is for Hostinger itself. So if you have a Hostinger email, well and good. If you don't have a Hostinger email, ask AI or look for videos online and you'll eventually find it. So as you could see, now my IMAP is connected. So this is what we got. Now let's just say I log into my Gmail and quickly drop myself a mail, if that makes sense. So compose, I'll make it full screen. I'll say, to Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com.
2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com. 2 Shreyas @ rapid-xai.com.
xai.com. Subject would be test email, and I'll say yo sup. So again, I'm just testing it out, so I don't mind being honest if it's any email, because I just need to test the trigger. So I'll delete this. I'll activate the workflow. Again, these got I'll just type something in here, and I'll quickly connect to, let's just say, a random. We got the email node, yeah. So we'll connect the, let's just say, the Google Sheets module to the email node, sheet 1. And I think that's done. So if I click on save now, go to executions, and let's just say I send this email right now. If I check my inbox under junk, so I've not received it yet. I think there's gonna be an issue where it wouldn't be able to send me the email, something like that. So yo sup to Shreyas@rapidxai.com. Just checking my email if I've got it or not. I'll refresh this. So test email, I got a test email, right? Now let me just check if the workflow has been executed. Oh shit, I had to turn this on. Apologies for that. Let me just send another test email. Another test email. Yo sup. Click on send. Now I think if I refresh this, if I check my workflow, I got this message, which is obviously because okay, so there was some error, and never mind on that. So yeah, we got the email, and this workflow got triggered. So I got 59 items. That's just because I think I got 59 unread emails. So yeah, I think all the 59 emails were read, which is cool. So now what we could do is go back here, go to the AI agent. So as you could see, we got recipient, all that kind of stuff. Now we can also make it an auto-responding agent. So first of all, as you could see, received, it's received time and all that kind of stuff, DKIM and signature. But we need to find the message. What was the message and where is the message? I think the message was yo sup. We didn't find that. Okay, that's weird. So text HTML, we got that. Received. So these are all encoded formats, and we need to grab a message from all of this. So auto replied, 8-bit encoding and all that kind of stuff. Scroll down. Okay. Inline, relayed, skipped, no attachment, remove. I think there are multiple emails that actually came in here. So content ID, we got to content ID, but we didn't got the content, which is concerning. So let me just check for the content. Anti-spam, SI remove, skipped, relayed, mail inbox, rule agents, hosted, internal, exchange, anti-spam. So these are just some encoded messages which we have here. I'm just looking for the message which I sent. So that would be great if I can find that, because that's the only thing that's required. All this additional gibberish, that's good. So again, so return path, sender, and then this is what I'll do. So this is the sender. First of all, that's something that we got. Now we need to check for additional stuff. So let me just check the email. What was the email that I sent? So if I go under sent, it's yo sup. Let me just search for sup as a word. Control V. Let's support.hostinger. Okay. Text HTML. Let me just see what it is. So I think I can find the text here, content. So we got all of that. So we got styles, all of additional stuff. Again, to send an email, it is a huge task to send an email, even though it seems pretty insignificant. It actually goes through a whole process before the email is actually sent. So let me just see. Okay, never mind. I'll say message content, and this is our AI agent. So I'll ask, grab the message from the message content content grab the message from the message content. We got the sender and the raw HTML for message. If I click on test step, let's see how it goes. And it's executing a node. I think it's going to take a while just because it's not a really easy task to go through all of this stuff and find what the message content was. So let's see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Maybe if I could increase the maximum number of tokens to, let's just say 4,000. Let's see what we get. Save. If I stop this, test workflow again. So we are doing for all 59. That's something that we don't need to do actually. So you know what? I'll unpin the data because we don't need this data, to be honest. What I'll do is I'll just send another email to myself. This time it would be, I want to buy your service immediately. I know the spelling is wrong. Hey, what do you sell? It's a test email, so I'm not putting that much of effort into this. But yeah, let's just go to executions. And I think in a second I should see the email pop in here. So if I refresh this, under I'm looking at drafts, I should look at, wait, what? Yeah, test email. Okay, makes sense. Go back. So I want to buy a service immediately. I'll refresh this to see where it has gone. So again, I cannot see the message yet. It's a bit concerning. No return matches. Okay, just log out and log back in. The rate. Okay, let's see what we get here. So the email didn't arrive from Shreyas Raj, but let's check for the executions on here just to make sure. So we also didn't got the execution. I think the email got bounced or something like that. So if I go to send, if I check for junk, so it's not under junk, that's for sure. It's not under sent. So in inbox, I'll say maybe something like yo. Sorry, wait. I think I messed up the address or what? Shreyas. Okay, so it's, oh damn, I'm sending the wrong address. Shreyas @rapidxai.com. I want your service. What you sell. I've been sending the wrong email address, which is why it's causing an issue. So I want your service, something like that. What you sell. If I refresh this now, I didn't got the email yet. That's weird. Okay, so I've sent it to Shreyas. I want your service. It is sent to Shreyas@rapidxai.com. Let me just check for the N8N trigger just to see if it has got anything right now. So I did got something, which is good. Go to debug in editor, because I think this is the only unpin. Yeah, makes sense. So what was the content? Let me just check. The message is what you sell. Perfect. So grab the message from the content. Message from the content. We got the sender and the raw HTML for message. Also, give me the subject line of the email. something like that. So I don't know if I got the subject line in this, but just I'm taking my chances to see if I've actually got it. So that makes sense. What I'll do is I'll go in the sheets. I'll select a column to match on, which would be sender. I'll expand to this, and maybe I can tell it to output, require a specific output format. I'll grab our output parser, structured output parser. I'll say I only need the email. So what a structured output parser does is that the it outputs the output in a certain format, as simple as that. So email would be whatever the email is, then subject would be whatever the subject is, then it's gonna have a regarding. So what is this regarding? Subject, content, and then it's gonna be regarding. So I'll say also output the sender email and what is the email regarding in the specified output format. Quickly get this fixed. Now if I click on test step, so there's an error in the sub node. Let me just check what's wrong. So I kind of got what it is. So yeah, if that makes sense. No, wait, what? So email. This should work. I don't know what's. Let me just ask Claude what is wrong with this. What is wrong with this particular? What is wrong with this JSON? Question mark. So I'm gonna get an idea. Okay. Now this should be enough. Copy this, paste it back here, and I think this should be working. So if I click on test, execute workflow. So this is the output that we got. Now I'll quickly populate the sheet. So regarding would be email regarding, email would be sender, subject would be subject, and then content would be content. So I don't think the input has the email subject. I'll say it would have been better, but I'll just search for subject as well. Subject. Subject. Okay, subject. This is subject. I'll say subject line. So I hope you guys understand how powerful this is. So now what I can do is I can also respond to this email, which is something crazy, and I'll show you how to do it. If I go to email, I'll click on send email, and then I click on send an email, and then I'll use the same credentials which I used for, let's just say, IMAP. So I'll quickly put in my password. The host would be smtp.hostinger.com, and port would be 4. Okay, this should work. If I click on save, the testing was successful. Now I'll say from email. So from email, I would obviously put the same email which I used to authenticate, which is rapidxai.com. Okay, if I just save this for now, save this for once. I don't know what's going wrong here, but if I test this would be perfectly functioning as per my information. So yeah, this is perfectly functioning. Now if I go in here, to email would be this email address, subject line would be, now maybe I'll ask AI to generate me an adequate response for it. So what I'll do is I'll grab this particular AI agent and I'll paste it here. Wait, where did I actually got pasted? So I'll paste it here. I'll say yeah, so let me just quickly check the fields that we have here. So we have subject, and then email format would be text, obviously, subject, and the email format. So I'll ask my guy to give me the subject line, subject underscore line, content, and this should be it. So I'll quickly change the prompt. I'll say give an appropriate response to this email. You are an AI. You are writing on behalf of Shreyas Raj as his AI personal assistant, and your role is to convert interested prospects into customers that jump on a call with Shreyas. So this is an actual real world use case which you are fixing right away. So I'll give it my Calendly link. So send this Calendly link if the person seems very interested. Else simply have a chat with the person. So this is done. Now the message content would be email content. Subject line would be subject, I want your service, and I think this should be it. So I don't need to add the sender here. And yeah, if I click on save, if I click on test workflow from here, test workflow, I think I should get the output as per the output parser. So RD, I want service, and yeah, content would be this test step. So no recipient is defined, which is concerning. I'll quickly grab this as the to email, test the step. If I go to my inbox, I should see this one coming through anytime. So okay, the response was okay. It is queued right now, as of now. And yeah, if I click on sent emails, if I refresh this, so yeah, I want your service. Thank you for reaching out. We offer a variety of services that can help you achieve your goals. It would be great to learn more about what you're looking for specifically. Could you share a bit more needs? This way we can provide you the best information relevant to you. Best looking forward for a response. Best regards, your Sarge's assistant. I can remove this. So I can remove this sent automatically from N8N by saying that there should be an option actually. So attachments, append. I'll remove this. If I test the step again, this time I shall receive the email without the N8N attribution. Again, N8N allows you to do it. So if I were to check the text, yeah, so as you see, there's no N8N attribution here. So yeah, I hope this one was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. But this is a complete rundown on how to use the email triggers. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.